going to do a little answer key video for your absolute value. Make sure you listen. Don't just copy down the answers. We want to make sure you understand how we get these answers. That's why we make these videos. Okay, so as I said in the notes video, you got to have the absolute value bars by themselves on one side of the equation before you split it up into its two separate equations without the absolute value bars. And that's what we have here with this first problem. The absolute value bars are already by themselves, so I'm going to set up my two equations. I've got negative 2x equals 8, but it could also be that negative 2x equals negative 8, because both of those are 8 away from 0. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2 to get x by itself, and that's it for this one. This one is just a one-step equation, right? There's only one thing to do to get x by itself. For the first one, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Whoops, let's do x equals first. It's a negative 4. And for the second one, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my two possible answers are negative 4 and positive 4. For my second problem, the absolute value bars are by themselves again. I'm ready to just set up my two equations. It's either that x plus 9 equals positive 3. It could also be that x plus 9 equals negative 3. Okay. In both cases here, subtracting 9 from both sides to get x by itself. It's another one-step equation. So subtract 9, I'm left with x equals 3 minus 9 is negative 6. And then for the second equation, again, subtract 9 from both sides, and I am left with x equals negative 12. So my two answers for this particular absolute value problem are x equals negative 6, or x could equal negative 12. And for this third problem, again, the absolute value bars are already by themselves on one side of the equal sign, so I'm ready to split up my equation. Okay, so I've got 3x plus 2 equals positive 16, or 3x plus 2 could equal negative 16. Those are both 16 away from 0. Do the same steps to solve both of these. I'm going to start on the left. So I'll subtract 2 from both sides, and I'm left with 3x equals 14. 16 minus 2 is 14. Divide both sides by 3. And I'm left with, let's see, 3 goes into 14 4 times with 2 left over. And a positive divided by a positive is still a positive. For the second equation, I subtract 2 from both sides, and I'm left with 3x equals negative 18. I divide both sides by 3. And I'm left with a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 3 goes into 18 6 times. So x equals negative 6. Okay. Now for this last one on this page, it kind of gives it away that we have some work to do, because you can see this gap before the arrows show you to split it apart. And that's because the absolute value bars are not by themselves yet on one side. There's that plus 7. So I've got to do the opposite of that. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. And that leaves me with the absolute value of x divided by 4 equals 3. Because 10 minus 7 is 3. Now I'm ready to split the equation. So it's either that x over 4 is equal to positive 3, because that's 3 away from 0, or that x divided by 4 is equal to negative 3. Because again, that's still 3 away from 0, and that's what absolute value is. It's the distance. So here, x is being divided by 4, and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, and those 4's cancel, and I'm left with x equals 12. And for the second equation, same step to get x alone. Multiply both sides by 4, gets those 4's to cancel, and we're left with x equals, now this time negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. All right, flip it over Flip over your packet to the next page again. They kind of give it away for us. Look, there's that little gap between the equation and where the arrows say to split the equation, right? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 5 because that gets rid of that divide by 5. So I'm doing the opposite still, right? That's how we solve equations. I'm left with the absolute value of 7 minus 4n is equal to 25. Excuse me. So the expression 7 minus 4n is 25 away from 0. That means it could equal 25, but it could also equal negative 25. So that's my two equations I'm going to set up. 7 minus 4n equals 25. Again, no absolute value bars now, right? I did what I needed to so that I can write the equations without the absolute value bars. And then 7 minus 4n equals negative 25. So here, I'm going to start by subtracting 7 from both sides, and that leaves me with negative 4n equals 25 minus 7 is 18. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. N equals, now positive divided by negative is a negative. 4 goes into 18 4 times with 2 left over, and 2 over 4 simplifies to 1/2. So I've got negative 4 1/2. If you have that because you use your calculator at home or your phone at home to get negative 4.5, of course that's still correct. And then for this one, the second equation, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Now this time I'm left with negative 4n equals negative 25 minus 7 more, negative 32. And then divide both sides by negative 4. And we're left with, this time, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 4 goes into 32 8 times. Okay, only a couple problems left here. Again, you guys see the gap, right? I have to do something to get the absolute value bars to be the only thing on that left side. So here, I have to subtract 1 from both sides. And that's going to leave me with, these cancel, right? Absolute value of 7 minus 3x is equal to, and then 119 minus 1 is 118. So my two equations are 7 minus 3x equals positive 118, and 7 minus 3x equals negative 118. Same steps to get x by itself, right? It's just going to give me different results. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. See, that sounds familiar. I'm left with negative 3x equals 111. I know that works. What is that? 111. Divide both sides by negative 3. 111 divided by negative 3. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. And 3 goes into 111 37 times. So x equals negative 37. Same two steps for the second equation. Subtract 7 from both sides. This time we're left with negative 3x equals negative 125. For this one, 125. So we've got divide both sides by negative 3. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 3 goes into 125 41 times with 2 left over. Now your calculators at home would have given you 0.6 repeating for that one. All right, for the last problem here, there's that gap which is kind of misleading. Because the absolute value bars are by themselves. There is nothing for us to do. But notice it's equal to 0, right? It equals 0. So it's saying that expression is 0 away from 0. Well, there's only one number 0 away from 0. and that's 0. So I only have one equation that I have to set up here. We can go ahead and cross this one out. We don't need that second box for this one. So I've got 12s minus 48 equals 0. And then just solve it. It's a two-step equation. Just solve it. Add 48 to both sides. And you're left with 12s equals 48. Divide both sides by 12. And we know 12 goes into 48 4 times. All right, if you're still confused after watching this video and seeing these answers, make sure you reach out to your teacher. We want to help you. All right, have a great day.